Ako po si Luisito Espinosa. Panoorin niyo po ako sa philippinenews.com.
Know of jobs where you're told it's going to be one way and it isn't. There has to be control. And in his case, there was the fraud, but there was also coercion, and it was psychological. Human trafficking is controlling a person through force, fraud, or coercion. And it can be sex trafficking or labor trafficking, and it's for the purpose of, it could be slavery, involuntary servitude, or debt bondage. And typically the myth is that there has to be migration or movement, and there doesn't. And in the Bay Area, 72% of trafficking survivors are U.S. citizens. And trafficking, it's often thought only that there's sex trafficking, but there's also labor trafficking, and it's actually more prevalent than sex trafficking. What we're doing is we're trying to get bus drivers and people who are in a position to interact with the public to identify and to spot the red flags of trafficking. And the red flags could be, it's typically lack of control or lack of freedom, where the person, and not all of these are present, but the person may not be free to travel or to go somewhere. The person is speaking for them all the time, is controlling them. There could be some mental fear, paranoia, and a feeling that there's someone monitoring them all the time. And there's also physical. Sometimes there's branding or scars, tattoos. And trafficking, survivors are often afraid to come forward. There's barriers to come forward. And also once they do come, and that the barriers are often that they're afraid of the authorities. There have been threats. For example, we have a trafficking survivor in our video who was brought from Mexico when he was 13. And he was told that his family would be harmed if he tried to escape, and that there would be harm to him as well, and that he would be incarcerated and deported. So there's often fears. There's sometimes an attachment, like the Stockholm Syndrome, with the exploiter. And there's a number of barriers why people are afraid to come forward. But once they do, there's services available. There's legal services. They could get a T visa. There's victims services through victim service providers, housing, and various other services that can assist them. And so what we want is for the bus drivers, who are really the eyes and ears of the community in a lot of ways. They drive by the track on Monterey Road. They see people who are in conditions that might suggest trafficking. And one of them in one of the sessions talked about seeing a peddler by Levi's Stadium and called the police, and the police asked some questions, and the questions really divulged or disclosed information, which was that the person was brought up from Southern California, and that they were waiting for this trafficker to pick them up and take them where they were going, and it was a trafficking situation. So we think it's important for bus drivers who are definitely in a position to see many suspicious things and activities, to know what to look for, and to understand too what trafficking is and what they can do.